Hello, and welcome to Marketing Global Edition with me, Jasmine Montgomery.
And I'm Hannah Shaw.
We've got Hannah on today, which is lovely. And because Hannah came across a story recently that intrigued us both. Hannah, what are we talking about today?
Today we are talking about the British Museum.
Interesting.
And it is about a social media, not quite a scandal, but it's definitely caused some controversy.
Yeah.
Late January, the museum posted a series of images featuring a young woman an array of different cultural outfits, stood next to some very relevant artifact. And this was posted to the British Museum's Instagram. She was wearing East Asian clothing, Mexican clothing, and she was next to, objects from the museum. So it was all very innocent. She used the hashtag #YourMuseum, which I believe is their social hashtag for the museum. And it was all quite innocent until people picked up on who was tagged. And there were two tags. One was an AI model, Elly Lin, and the other tag was the AI marketing agency that created it.
Hang on, hold the phone. An AI model? Can you explain to old farts like me what an AI model is?
Well, an AI model is a model that looks like a normal influencer. They do influencer things. They have get ready with me posts. You go out with them. They are shown in shops and doing things. They are like normal humans, but they are not actually, in fact, human. They are
Wow,
AI
they're
models.
they're sort of avatars, or I don't know what they're AI models.
They are AI generated models. So,
Wow.
they live and act as us, but they are in fact not real, which is
Oh
very
my gosh.
interesting. And the British Museum decided to use them in the campaign. So there was a few flaws in this, just, not even, the smallest one, and nobody seems to have picked up on, is the fact that you're not supposed to actually advertise without, in fact, telling people it is an ad. So that's number one. But even before we get there, this caused the most huge backlash with historians, archaeologists, people that really care about history in the museum. The post actually was taken down 6 hours after it was posted. It didn't survive long because of the backlash. So clearly people got upset about it. So,
Okay,
they handled it badly.
okay, so we'll come on to how they handled it in a second. What is so just to describe this to people a little bit. So like you have a woman who is sort of looks like she's dressed in, I don't know, Chinese or Japanese dress in
Yes.
front of like Asian art, and she's sort of standing there admiring it, right? Now,
Yeah.
okay, so what is so I'm not sure that I agree with the furore because my point of view on this is okay, they used an AI model, but it's not like they manipulated or faked artifacts in the British Museum. Like if they used AI to generate a fake Ming vase or a fake Elgin marble, I'd have 65 fits like everybody else. But they didn't do that, right? They were just showing kind of, a person in the like as if it was a model. I mean, it doesn't really matter whether it's a real model or an AI generated model. It's like a woman is enjoying looking at stuff in the BM. What's inherently so wrong with that?
I think there's a few things. I think not declaring it, people are
Right.
getting very, very sick of AI slop. It's a
Yeah.
hashtag, people are
Mm-hmm.
sick of it. And I
Mm-hmm.
think if you're going to do something like this, um, be honest and open about it.
Right.
Actually include your audience, start the debate, bring in the younger audience by letting them in on the journey, talking about what you're doing. I think there's a way of doing it that would have been a lot better than hiding
Mm.
it and sneakily putting a little tag of an AI model.
That's a great point. Let them in on the joke. Yeah, that's always much better than feeling fooled.
Yeah,
And the VM is supposed to be such a sort of academic source of kind of, it should be a source of truth and wisdom, not kind of deception. So yeah, okay,
I
I
think,
see that.
yeah, definitely. It depends on the brand. And if we're looking at the British Museum as the role model
Hmm.
for museums across the globe, perhaps, they really ought to be setting an example.
Hmm.
Um, they really ought to have had an AI policy in place before doing it. They should have had a stance. You know, doing it and then pulling it 6 hours later is not a great move. They realized
Interesting.
they were in the wrong. Perhaps they should have had a stance and actually said what they were up to. So I think that fundamentally people were upset about the complete lack of transparency. People don't want to be fooled, and they do not want AI slop. The other thing I think people were bothered about is the cultural insensitivity of it. You know, getting a very westernized AI at the moment is quite westernized. You've got that very pale, glossy skin, and it's almost a little odd to see them dressed in cultural dressing
or a kimono or something, right? It feels a
It was
bit
a little
appropriation.
icky, and
Okay.
it's sort of conflated distinct cultures. It was a little odd.
Okay.
And obviously the ethical concern about AI use and heritage. A lot of archaeologists and historians argued that AI could misinform the public. You know, okay, they put an AI model into the museum, but where do you draw the line? You know, if you start duplicating
Right.
vases and incredible historical objects, you know, that where is the line? Because
Yeah.
this is obviously crossing a boundary that people are uncomfortable with.
Right. And is it up to the BM? I mean, certainly if you're a fashion brand, you can get away with that, pushing boundaries. Is it really up to sort of academic institutions, cultural institutions? I guess cultural institutions. I mean, if it was a contemporary art museum, maybe we'd feel better about it. How did the BM then handle the furore, and what did you think about sort of how they handled it?
Well, it was a catastrophic mess. They couldn't have handled it worse if they tried. When people sort of argued about it, I mean, this is long since deleted, so it's very hard to find the actual arguments that were underneath the post. But when people argued, and we're talking PhD students, archaeologists and historians, and people who really know their stuff that the British Museum actually follow, they unfollowed them. They were ghosted. They were banned,
Whoa.
which is terrible. It's really not great. I mean, when people, you know, you should be able to debate anything without
Absolutely. I mean, that
being
is counter to the
exited from
spirit of
life.
academia, is that,
Yeah.
we're just going to
So
ban speech in some way. That-
banning people is not quite the way we would have handled it if we were to take this on.
right.
But it was incredibly interesting as a brand to see how they
What should they
handled
have done? What should they have
What
done?
should they have done? I think, you know, people forgive and move on if you acknowledge, accept, and join the debates. You know, say perhaps we've done this in the wrong way. We're excited to include a digital perspective or an AI perspective in what we do. You know, maybe engage people, put out polls, you know, get people talking about it.
And certainly don't cancel your critics.
Don't cancel the critics. It's
Right.
not a great idea. Don't definitely don't do that. But also, you know, actually have a solid AI guideline in place. I mean, to go ahead and do something like that without thinking it through. I mean, a lot of social, even for our clients, we stop and think, well, what's the worst thing that could happen? And you actually think through, you know, what
Through.
people might
There's an
say,
idea.
good or bad. Think it
Yeah.
through and yeah, try and cover all bases and you know, treat people like humans. If people are debating it, it's actually not a bad thing. You know, if a controversy is always kick up loads of comments and action on social, which is what we're all after, so it's not a bad thing. But I
No,
think
publicity is bad publicity. You just have to
no,
turn it to your advantage. It's an if you handle it right, it's an opportunity.
I
Interesting.
think so. And you know, going back to thinking it through, putting the hashtag your museum when you don't actually include any of the people is not a great idea and not a great hashtag. So I think it was flawed from the start in its execution.
So I guess another thing that's really interesting is that the British Museum is probably one of the institutions that most comes under fire for kind of colonialism and having, essentially, in some people's eyes, stolen the art and artworks and artifacts of many countries. And so something about having kind of an Asian or Egyptian. I mean, you know, you look Elgin Muggles, you know, Easter Island, they want their head back. They're just, you know, the Egyptians want their stuff back. Having sort of an AI model standing there in kind of ethnic dress, suggesting that she's from one of these cultures, looking at artifacts that were essentially stolen from her country, if she were indeed from one of these countries, it sort of perhaps implies some kind of, you know, approbation on her part about, you know, the fact that the BM contains these artifacts, which it could be really inflammatory to a lot of people. So I can understand that, particularly because, you know, because of the sort of ethnic, the multicultural, international dimension, might have been, you know, a real problem for people.
Well, yes, I think lots of people were saying it's really hard to ignore the irony of the situation.
Hard to ignore the irony. Brilliant. Okay, well, listen, that has been a really fascinating dip into a really interesting breaking marketing story, which, you know, I love the art world. We might have more on this in the future. But for now, Hannah, thank you so much. See you all next week.
Marketing Global Edition is sponsored by 𝐕𝐢𝐿, the ad generator for small businesses that serves you effective and affordable ads in seconds. And by 7 Brands, the international advertising and branding agency that has worked with clients around the world from Coca-Cola to Facebook.